Hello, folks. This is Gregory Robinson, author of Time Machine, and this is Wisdom Wednesday. If you missed last week, we are going over, in several weeks upcoming, we're going over some of the ideas and concepts that I address in Time Machine, some of the pitfalls and some of the roadblocks we run into in life that keep us from achieving our goals. And today I wanted to talk about fear. And fear is a balance. There's an intensity level to it. There's healthy fear and there's unhealthy fear. And first off, I want to talk about healthy fear. So in the Bible, it talks about how the Israelites have this healthy fear in the Old Testament of God, and while they're basically having a healthy fear, they have a respect for God and they want to please Him, and He blesses them. And then it's kind of a back and forth sometimes. For one king, they might have a healthy fear of the Lord and follow what He says, and the next king, they kind of fall away from that. And it's kind of like a parent situation. So you have a healthy fear or respect for your parents that changes your behavior in a positive way. You keep your room clean because you have a healthy fear that your parent is going to put you in timeout or ground you, or in my case, back in the day, that you're going to catch a spanking. So another example of a healthy fear is I have a fear of heights. And whenever I'm doing maintenance on the house, I might be up on a ladder, cleaning out the gutters or working on the roof. And like I said, I have a fear of heights, but it makes me more cautious. So this is healthy. So when I'm on the top rung of that ladder, I'm more conscious of my balance. I'm more conscious of my footing. I am real careful about how far I reach out from the ladder as not to tip it over or to tip myself over to fall and hurt myself. So that's a healthy fear, a way that we're more cautious. The same can be said on the roof. Wherever I'm working on the roof, whenever I put my foot down to move, I'm very conscious about how much weight I'm putting on that foot and that I've got a good footing. Again, this is a healthy fear. It makes us careful. And on the other side, there's unhealthy fears, fears that keep us in a bad situation or keep us from doing the things that we want to do. One example might be an abuse situation or a domestic violence situation. The person is twofold scared. Their fear of the aggressor or the abuser is not healthy. It causes them to shrink away, to lose a lot of their confidence, and at the same time they're scared to leave. And this is that phenomena that happens with domestic violence. They're somehow afraid that they're not going to be able to support themselves out on their own, or they are afraid of reprisals from the aggressor or the abuser. And this fear keeps them in this bad situation. And it keeps them from moving forward, and it keeps them from removing themselves from this bad situation. Another example is phobias. They can be crippling. These people have this irrational fear of a item or an action. One example, if you have a fear of speaking in front of people, that can keep you from, being able to speak to a group of people. And sometimes it might be necessary. It can also affect their health. I took a public speaking class in college, and it was easy for me to speak in front of people. I enjoy talking to people. But I saw some of the folks in that class literally faint before their time was up to give a speech in front of the class. And that's unhealthy. And what we're dealing with there is fear has an intensity. So the more intense the fear, the more unhealthy it is. And that intensity is directly affected by the sensitivity we feel with that subject. So for instance, again, if we look at the public speaking, One way you might deal with this fear is you might prepare whatever speech or talk you're preparing to give, and you share it with a loved one, a family member, a dear friend, someone you trust, just one-on-one, and you're effectively reducing the intensity or the sensitivity to this fear. Then you might add a second person, a third person, and you move up. What you're doing is effectively removing the sensitivity of this fear of speaking in front of people. And exactly the same, you're reducing the intensity of this fear. All right. So let's say maybe you are afraid of snakes. Okay. You're terrified of them. So one way you might reduce the sensitivity is go to a serpentarium. So you might go to a serpentarium and you go and visit this place. You're safe behind the glass or the cage. These snakes are safely tucked away. They're not going to be able to get at you, and you're effectively reducing your sensitivity. You might take that a step further. Usually these places have a small get-together where one of the handlers actually talks to the children, usually, about snakes, and they inform them about different things or traits or characteristics of these snakes, and eventually they pull a couple of non-venomous snakes out and allow the children to pet them or touch them. And effectively, again, if you're a part of that, you're reducing your sensitivity to this fear, and you're reducing the intensity of the fear. Okay? So information is power, right? So you might actually go and do some research on snakes. I've found that the shape of the head is a good factor to decide whether they're venomous or non-venomous. If they're shaped like your thumb in a square or a rounded head, they're non-venomous usually. The more triangular head tells you that they have venom or that they're a venomous snake. So information can be power. This information can dial down the sensitivity you have to running into a snake out in the wild. So what we're trying to do is reduce the sensitivity to a given subject or to a given thing to reduce the intensity of our fear. Okay? So all fear is irrational. All right? We have a fear of something because we can't rationally deal with it. When we reduce the sensitivity to this thing, we reduce the intensity of fear, and then we increase our rationality of dealing with this thing. So that's how we actually attack fear and how we dismantle it, okay? From sensitivity to reduce intensity to increase rationality, all right? So that's how we deal with fear and how we break down these things that are holding us back from our goals in life, okay? This has been Gregory Robinson with Wisdom Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've been enjoying this or any of my other sessions, please share it. Send a link to someone that you think could use it, or somebody that might be dealing with one of these situations. I also want to say, we see this on TV a good bit, and it's out there, and I'd like to kind of reiterate what they're saying. Abuse, domestic violence is never okay. All right? If you're dealing with a situation like that, you have to get out there, you have to tell somebody, and you have to get some help. All right? It's just not okay. You cannot continue to deal with that and be healthy. All right? So if you're dealing with that kind of situation, please go out there and get some help. There's a lot of resources out there, a lot of organizations that help people every day with this problem. So I want you to get some help if that's your situation. Again, if this is helping you, I hope that you'll pass it on to a friend or a loved one. And tune in on Friday. We'll be doing a Fast 5 on Friday. And I hope to see you then. I hope you have a great day, and I hope the good Lord blesses you today.